Okay, let's talk about our air filter maintenance. And ensuring that these are clean, free of debris is not only going to make sure that your motor is getting the airflow that it needs, it's also going to increase the longevity of your motor because you're not going to be sucking in dirt and debris down into the bottom end of your motor, which will start wearing your piston and your ring and could cause some leak down issues eventually. So in our race plan, what we have is we've actually incorporated 3 air filters into our race plan. We use 1 air filter for practices. We'll use our 2nd air filter for the heats, and then we'll go ahead and slap on a brand new fresh air filter for our main race. I really enjoy doing that. These things get dirty pretty quick, especially if you have any off-track excursions or if it's a rain race, they can get moist, and you're definitely going to want to swap them out if they've got any moisture in them as well. So what we'll do here is we're just going to simply clean these out. It's a real easy process. Doesn't take too long. So what we do is we'll go ahead and grab our filter cleaner here. And we'll just go ahead and spray it all over each of these filters. And definitely be generous. Make sure you get all up in the grooves and get the entire filter covered with the cleaner. Just like that. Okay, that's pretty good. And I like to do is I just like to let them sit for a minute. Let that soak in, and then what we'll do is we'll take these over to the sink and we'll rinse them out. And hopefully when we're rinsing them out, hopefully you can see some of the dirt that actually comes out of these. They get real dirty, so let's take these over to the sink and we'll rinse them out. Okay, so I've let these filters soak for about a minute and a half. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and rinse them out. So what I do is I'll just hit them with some hot water to begin with. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the sink, and hopefully we can see how much dirt comes out of these things. See if you can see it in the water there. Just make sure you rinse these things out real good. Inside and out. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but it seems that most of the dirt has stopped coming out, so we can go on to our next one. Kind of off topic, I installed this sink in my garage when we built this house, and we just absolutely use it for everything. It's been great. And this is usually, when I get home from the track, this is usually one of the first things I do, because as soon as we're done rinsing these out, what I'll do is I'll just set them out in the sun so they can dry, because you're going to want to make sure they're thoroughly dry before we go ahead and oil them. All right, and then what I'll do is I'll just go hit them with some cold water, just because. Just to ensure they're completely rinsed out. And I've been running these particular filters for years, so I mean, unless you get into a wreck and smash one of them up, they'll definitely last you a long time as long as you take care of them. All right, filters are cleaned. So like I said, at this point, I'm just gonna go set these out in the sun. We'll let those dry out. And once they are dried out, we'll come back to them and we'll show you how to put the oil on them. Okay, so we've given these filters some time out in the sun. They're completely dry. So now we're gonna wanna go ahead and oil them. And while we were generous with the filter cleaner, we're not going to want to be quite so generous with this oil. We're actually going to want to put just a very, very thin coating over the entire filter. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want this thing dripping with oil because then it's just going to get gummed and plugged up. The reason you're putting this oil on here to begin with is so that there's just a fine little layer on there so that it catches the fine dust particles so those don't make it down into your motor. So we'll just go ahead and we'll give each of these a light coat, and once we're done, we'll go ahead and clean them up and bag them up and we'll be ready for next race weekend. Okay, that's plenty for that one. I just do short little bursts. I find if you're gonna go ahead and hold this thing down, you're gonna get more oil on these than you really want to. Just make sure you get everything completely coated with just a fine little layer of oil. And that's all you're gonna need. Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll wipe these off a little bit. Get the overspray off of the filter here. And I like to wear gloves when I do this. I hate getting oil all over my hands. Okay, now we've got our filters oiled and cleaned. We'll just go ahead and put the clamps over them. And these come with clamps when you buy them new. And then what I like to do is I just go ahead and get a little Ziploc bag, and I'll drop each one of them in a little Ziploc. That way I'm not getting oil all over everything else that they're gonna be touching up against in my kit. And that's it, guys. Just leave them bagged up till the next time you're out at the track. And like I said, in our race plan, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll use one filter for practicing, then I'll go ahead and use another filter for when we run the couple heats, and then I'll go ahead and I'll drop a completely fresh filter on for the main, just to make sure that we've got the proper air getting into our motor and that our carburetor is going to be running the way we need it to. Simple as that. Make sure you incorporate this into your race plan and your maintenance plan, and again, have a good time at the track.